everyone? Tyler DeLuca here, back for week 8 of the college football season. This weekend has several really fun matchups. Here's my top 3. Alright, first up, number 17 Tennessee at number 11 Alabama. And this matchup for me is two teams that are missing that extra gear at the moment right now to move themselves up into being an elite team. For Alabama, it's obviously been the quarterback play that we saw at the beginning of the season, but Jalen Milroe, since coming back into that starting quarterback position, has grown, has gotten more comfortable, and is increasingly getting better at doing exactly what this team needs him to do, which realistically, the defense for the Crimson Tide is so good that they don't need him to go out and be this superstar player and carry them to victories every week. That's not what they're asking for him. That's not what they need from him, because this defense is so incredibly good, and they're going to be the most important factor for me in this game, because what it comes down to for me is the Tennessee running game, because so far this season they're 5-0 when they've reached over 160 yards running the ball on the ground, where they're able to control the pace of the game and dictate how they want the game to go. Alabama's defense is absolutely capable of stopping this Tennessee running game. If they can do that, then it comes down to Milroe being able to not win them the game. It's just about making not even the big plays. It's about making the right plays consistently throughout the entirety of the game. I think he's absolutely more than capable of doing that, and that Alabama's defense is more than capable of defending the home field this time. Not like Texas, not like a different orange team with the T. This time they'll get it done, and Alabama wins this game. Game number 2 for me this week, number 14 Utah at number 18 USC. And folks, it happened. It happened. USC has been playing with fire for the last couple weeks, and it happened. They got caught up. They lost their first game of this season against Notre Dame at Notre Dame. A solid Notre Dame team, far from the worst loss you could suffer. But for me, what made it so incredibly odd was how they lost, because I talked last week, this was one of my games from last week, and I picked USC to win, but I wouldn't have been surprised if Notre Dame won, was kind of my point. But the thing is that the reason that I felt that way was because USC's defense. That's the reason I thought this would be a close game, and I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame won. I picked USC to win because they have the best player in college football. They have Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams was not the reason that they won that game for sure. And the defense wasn't the reason they lost that game. Caleb Williams was. Which was not how I saw that playing out at all. Probably the worst game I've ever seen from Caleb Williams was against Notre Dame. And now we're at a point. We're at a crossroads here, because Utah's coming into town. It doesn't get much easier for Caleb, because this is an elite defense. Utah's defense is really good. They haven't had Cam Rising on the offensive side of the ball starting at quarterback this year. So they've been the reason that they've been winning these games. They're the reason that they're still in it when it comes to the race for the Pac-12. It's their defense. Now Cam Rising is kind of, we saw Alex Grinch talking about, the USC defensive coordinator talking about, well, they're kind of just preparing for him just in case he comes back and is finally active. Until I see it, I ain't believing it when it comes to Cam Rising playing in this game. So, is Utah's defense going to be able to win them another game? And I answer that question with another question. Which Caleb Williams is showing up? Is it last week's Caleb Williams? Because if so, then Utah will absolutely be able to win this game. Is it Heisman Caleb Williams? Then USC has this. That's what it comes down to for me. And that's a question that won't be answered until we kick off. But if Caleb Williams goes back to playing like Caleb Williams, USC should be able to bounce back and start working their way back up the rankings. But you never know with this USC team, because they seem like every game remains close with them, at least recent memory. And if Utah can keep it close, then it only takes a couple plays. But if Caleb Williams shows back up and starts playing like Caleb Williams, I think USC will be okay. It's time for my game of the week. Number 7 Penn State traveling to number 3 Ohio State. And I am really excited for this one. There's the clear reasons, right? You got a top 10 matchup, a Big Ten game that is pretty much yearly, a huge game with huge implications for the conference and the national scene. And all those things are true again this year. That is absolutely the case. But the big reason that I am excited for this game is it's time for Penn State to prove it. It's that simple for me. It's time to prove it because their defense statistically has an argument for being the best defense in college football so far this season. They absolutely have an argument to make. They lead the nation in sacks. They lead the nation in tackles for losses. That defensive front is so impressive. But then you look at who they've played. West Virginia, Delaware, Illinois, Iowa, Northwestern, and UMass. Not exactly any offensive powerhouses within that list. But they've done what they needed to do. So now we get to this game here against the number 3 team in the nation. Ohio State, who in back-to-back weeks, they put up 37 points and 41 points respectively. The challenge for Penn State is simple here. Prove it. Go on the road, face a top team, and prove it. You have a chance here to make your mark. You have a chance to solidify yourself as a national championship contender team this week. You've done what you needed to do so far. I try not to fault two teams too bad because when you're doing what you're supposed to do against a schedule, you can only play who's in front of you. And they've done that. And they've done their job. But now Ohio State's in front of you. And what are you going to prove in that? That's the big storyline for me in this game. I think their offense can handle it. I think their defense can handle it. But we got to see. I think the defensive front, like I said, has been absolutely incredible so far for Penn State. I love their offensive line as well, who's going to really help keep this offense balanced between the run game and the passing game with their passing protection. I think Penn State has all the tools to be a national championship contender team, but ultimately, they have to prove it. And that's the storyline. That's the challenge. Is Penn State for real? We'll find out this weekend. That's going to do it for me this week with my top 3 games of the college football slate for week 8 of the college football season. I'm really excited for all these 3 games, and there's more games on the site that I'm also excited for. So let me know if you have any games that weren't on this list that you are looking forward to and who you picked to win these 3 down below.